Hello everyone, so today I'm back in Hex Casting to show you how to use the Akoshic bookshelves and the Akoshic record. So, first of all, if you want to use them, you need to get them. So, how do you do that? The Akoshic ligature, which is used to craft the Akoshic record, is crafted like this: 4 logs, 2 planks and some amethyst. Next, you need to take the Akoshic ligature and Master Librarian, which doesn't show in the hologram right here, and turn it into an Akoshic record with Flame Mind. So let's start. I have prepared a Master Villager right here, Master Librarian, and I have the Akoshic ligature right here. If you're wondering what this wand is, it's because I'm using the 1.20.1 Hex Casting mod. So let me start. Okay, so I have already selected the librarian. Then I need to select the block. And then I need Flame Mind. I don't know the Flame Mind spell because it's different to every world, so I'll just get it. So I do /hex casting, per word pattern, give, and the spell I want, which is Brain Sweep. Now I hold it, download the spell, and then activate the pattern. And now this villager has no brain, and I have the Akoshic record. So how do you use it? Let's say I have a spell. Let's say my spell is select the block I am looking at, and the way I'm looking at it, from which side, combine and place a block. That is the spell. But it's pretty long spell and I don't want to use a focus to store all of it. So what do I do? Ooh, that's interesting. So this is what you need to do. You need to take the Akoshic record position, so you just get it vector. You can always just look at it and select it. Now this needs to be first because I have made the pattern first, so I'm just gonna switch their positions. Then I need the pattern. How do I recognize it? So let's say I want the pattern to be this pattern. It doesn't matter if the pattern already exists or it doesn't. So let me just take this one. Then one needs to be second, and then you do this spell. After that, it should show up right here. As you can see, you can't know exactly how the spell is going. Blank scroll, right click, and now you have it. Now that you have the Akoshic bookshelf with a pattern, you probably want to get the spell. So what you do is you select the record block and then the spell, and then you do the opposite pattern. And now I have the spell. So if I run it, it has placed a block. Now that is very cool and all, but how do you use it in a trinket? So the first problem you'll notice when you want to make a trinket with this is that you always need the position of the record. So the first idea is just to have a focus with that record. So now that I have a focus, I can just select its position and upload it to the focus. Now that I have its position, what you probably think is just download it and then take the pattern and then get the spell and activate it. And now that I have it, let's test. Ooh, it didn't work. It recognized this just as a pattern. So as you saw, the list of patterns recognize this just as the spell and not as the pattern. This is because it didn't get recognized as a pattern, so it just used this spell, which isn't what I want. I want the pattern of this and the pattern of this, so the spell works. So the way you do it is you get the position, and then the next spell is going to recognize as a pattern. But I want this pattern, so I just do it again, and then the spell I want, and then this, and activate the spell. And now let's test it. Now it works. This is a problem I had when I wanted to make use of akashic records, is that I didn't know how to use them in a spell. So now the only problem is that my offhand is used to store the location. So the obvious solution is to somehow remember the position. You can always just type in 3 numbers like this, turn it into a vector and use it, but that is still annoying. So I'm going to make use of this spell, which takes the position 0, 0, 0. How is that useful? If I go underground, I can put an Akashic record at that position. When I do this, now I just put a spell, and then I use the pattern. That's why in my worlds that I play Hex Casting, I usually put the record in 0, 0. Honorable mention, the bookshelves don't store only spells, they store everything. Everything that can be in a stack. It can store string, it can store numbers, it can store spells, it can store lists of spell, any list, and it can store vectors. The vector part is very important because if you want, you can always write down, for example, the position of your base, and then if you put a pattern, you can say, oh, in the position of 0, 0, with the pattern of a triangle, for example, give me this, and it will give you the position of your base, which is really good, so you can make a spell that will teleport you there. Another way of thinking, these are storage spaces, but they are also like functions, because you can store a list for like this, for example. Let's say the list contains this spell, and then this spell, and this spell. Now, this by itself won't do anything. It turns an entity in its position and then explodes. But if I store it, for example, right here, it will be like function, because if I put an entity before it and then call this spell, it will explode that entity. So an idea for a spell could be a spell that gets a position and it teleports you to that position. Another idea, a spell that doesn't take anything, but it gives you all the entities in the world with zone distillation for players. Another example, you can combine the position of your base and the teleport spell to make like a recall potion or a magic mirror, a spell that you right click and it takes the position of your base with the position you set in the library and teleports you to it with another spell in the library. And another thing, you can always store the position of another library in this library. So first is going to be the position of the first library, then you don't forget you need both patterns for it to remember. Let's say this is a spell to remember the position of the second library, and then after this spell it will give you the position, and after that just do it again with another random spell, and this will give you from the second library, which gives you a lot of possibilities. Now this is all I'm going to show, and that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching, and see ya.